Howdy, howdy, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the Grand Land of Olean. We've got our water, we've got our caffeine, we got our book, and we got our beautiful hair. Here we go. Chapter 1, The Search for Entertainment. That's what we're all here for, right? Defining entertainment. Baseball entertains, as do novels, cinema, concerts, and cricket matches. Okay, that last one only applies to those fascinated by white-sweatered men who break for tea. And magic, done properly, entertains. These activities appear to have little in common. What, then, makes each a part of the world of entertainment? My definition of entertainment is anything that purposefully transports your mind into another world. Ooh. When you are being entertained, your mind focuses on the entertainment, and everything else recedes from your consciousness. The stronger the entertainment, the less likely it becomes that you will lose that focus. If your mind drifts back to your everyday world, the entertainment for that moment has failed. Boredom, the opposite of entertainment, is a consequence of being forced into a situation beyond your control. For example, you cannot leave the classroom despite the droning professor, and it's impolite to walk out on an inept performer. So you stay. In those situations, you're bored, and your mind moves on to other things. Being entertained, at its crux, can be defined as paying attention. When you give your full attention to an engaging professor, singer, football game, movie, dancer, or magician, you are being entertained. Your overdue tax bill, your problems at work, your personal relationships, where you are going to eat after the show, none of it matters. The entertainment removes you from all of that. Magical, musical, comedic, or theatrical entertainers take you out of your world and bring you willingly into theirs. You have temporarily and willingly removed your consciousness from the world you inhabit daily and place it into this new realm, a different reality. You may cry, laugh, cringe, or gasp, but you are not thinking about anything related to your everyday existence. At its best, entertainment enlightens, inspires, and communicates new insights about life. That's entertainment! Exclamation point. Looking for entertainment in all the wrong places. Here's an anecdote that illustrates the elusiveness of the entertainment experience. That's a mouthful right there, all those big words. It happened years ago while I attended a conference for investment. Big for me. Just saying this. It's beautiful though. It's poetic. It happened years ago while I attended a conference for investment professionals at a luxury resort in Dallas. Within a 12-hour span, I saw a young professional close-up magician and a 60-year-old grandmother whose topic was regulatory issues and the Securities and Exchange Commission. The professional magician versus the regulator. Which of those two was more entertaining? Common sense says there should be no contest. Investment advisors attend SEC update sessions because we must. Running afoul of their constantly shifting rules could put us out of business. The magician appeared at the evening cocktail reception, wearing an outfit signifying Texas saloon keeper circa 1890. Picture it. Old style white shirt, strong tie, strong? That says string. String tie, fringed black vest, western boots. He approached 5 of us who were standing together and asked if anyone had a class ring. None of us did, and it stopped his presentation cold. He quipped, "Oh, so this is a group with no class." Crickets. A couple of people exchanged glances. Then he rummaged around inside his shoulder bag and finally pulled out 3 scrawny and frayed pieces of rope. He performed a weak professor's nightmare routine, received polite applause, which I started for my fellow performer, and then moved on. No one commented, neither positively nor negatively, They just resumed their conversation as if he had never been there. The following morning, Marian Smith spoke to us. Her physical appearance can charitably be described as frumpy, and her subject matter normally sends an audience into spasms of apathy. Ugh. There she stood, pacing in front of a group of several hundred high-powered business people. How high-powered? The speaker immediately following her at this invitation-only event was former President George H.W. Bush. At one particularly complex section of her talk, she slowly drawled out, "I think I'm losing some of you, but I'm not going to let that happen." So wrenching the wireless microphone from the lectern, it's a podium, she left the stage and walked down into the audience. She roamed up and down the aisles, looking directly into the faces of the many individuals she passed. She waved her hands. She banged on the tables where we sat taking notes. No one could not pay full attention. The sheer force of her personality, fueled by her sincere certainty that this is important to you, and it is, this is important to you, made her a compelling speaker. She was a dynamo. Dynamo! Exclamation point. At one point, her fast-paced rhythm suddenly slowed. Her voice softened to almost a whisper, and she told us, "I just lowered my voice, and I'm talking slowly because this is so important." Inflection! The audience laughed at her audacity, and despite the laughter, everyone got the message. This woman knew how to control her audience with nothing more than her voice, her sincerity, and her fervent desire to share her knowledge with us. President Bush, 41, as he called himself, to differentiate himself from his son, whom he referred to as 43, began his presentation by saying, "Wow, that's a tough act to follow." Exclamation point! Why was Marian Smith so effective? What made her presentation so powerful that a former leader of the free world felt compelled to provide a transition to his own talk? First, she knew her stuff cold. Facts flowed seamlessly without notes. More importantly, her commitment to communicating, to teaching her audience in a meaningful way, overflowed from the stage and washed over all of us listening to her. She had all the entertainment cylinders firing: timing, enthusiasm, humor, emotion, surprise, audience awareness, and enlightenment. No exclamation point. Marian Smith, elderly looking, rotund, disheveled, and a government policy wonk, entertained her audience far more effectively than the young professional magician. That young magician had the basic tools, but he, as with so many others in our craft, focused on achieving mystery rather than entertainment. And he never had a chance to read the book you're holding. It's for him, a younger version of me, that I had advanced the theories and advice to follow. Beautiful. Why a director? The off-Broadway show Ricky Jay on the Stem showcased the dazzling reviews from the New York press. One of the most accomplished performers on the American magical scene. Our profession recognized the late Ricky Jay as a master of sleight of hand and all other things magical, and he was a storyteller extraordinaire. Yet preeminently displayed on the billboard outside the theater and all the ads were the words "directed by David Mamet." That tells me two things. First, since David Mamet is a well-known playwright and film director, the producers know his name draws in an extra allotment of haughty-tawdy theatergoers and financial backing. Second, and more germane to this discourse, even as masterful a performer as Ricky Jay, with his vast storehouse of experience in all venues, felt that he benefited from the guidance of a trusted director. 2 decades later, when Derek Delgadio's in and of itself took the New York theater scene by storm, top ranked director Frank Oz was similarly credited in the marketing. Stay hydrated. In the September 2017 Genie, in David Kay's thoughtful cover story on Darren Brown, the English mentalist wanted to share his thoughts on how important it is to have a director. Darren points out that your feelings about any particular performances can be quite different from those in the audience. You cannot judge your performance from the stage, he warned. I agree. Unfortunately, not everyone can find or afford a director. Therefore, I want this book to be the next best thing to help you become your own director. No matter how clever and experienced you are, your magically jaded eyes do not see what the layperson sees, but you must assess your act from the layman's perspective. A good director takes on the role of the non-performer, views your show without preconceptions, then overlays their experience and judgment to refine and polish it. With fewer exceptions, magicians and mentalists craft their acts unaided. Other performers have directors, choreographers, voice coaches, film editors, and scriptwriters to develop and refine their efforts. Plus, they have critics, serious critics, who analyze and nitpick. We don't. We have magazines that gloss over flaws and lead the cheering section, and this, over the generations, has not served us well. See you as we see you. The importance of video. From the days when going to the theater meant sitting on benches hewn from the side of a mountain, certain performers garnered more fame than their peers. Yet prior to the invention of the motion picture, not a single performer, no matter how illustrious, ever saw himself from the audience's perspective. Looking in a mirror doesn't count, because the moment you glance away, you cannot see yourself. Sound added another dimension to movies, but filming was not an expensive and overly complex procedure suitable mostly for the already established performer. With the advent of the video recorder, followed by smartphones with video, the ability to see what the audience sees became available to all performers. Inexpensive video recording, not the latest thread reel or gaff card, is the most important breakthrough ever for the success of the mystery performer. Tongue-tied. And should be recognized as such. You cannot reach your fullest potential until you critically analyze yourself on video. You can have a professional videographer record your show, or have a friend do it, or just mount a video camera or your iPhone on a tripod. The specific route you take is far less important than just getting it done. Regardless of the way you do it, it must be done unobtrusively so that the act of recording has no impact on the audience or on you. Video your show whenever you have a chance, and then sit down and analyze what you see, always with a pen and paper in your hands. Use this book as your manual for becoming your own director, intelligently critiquing your performance. Among other things, which will be detailed as you progress through these pages, you want to look for a natural flow of your hand movements, your body movements, your speech patterns, your gaze. Is there anything that looks awkward? Out of place in any way? Any tells? The best sleight of hand occurs during the off moments. Does yours? Can it be reworked so that it does? Watch yourself from a layman's perspective, and then watch yourself from a magician's perspective. Could you fool fellow conjurers? Does that very question strike you as silly? Your goal, I well realize, is not to fool others in our field unless you're in a competition. But the meticulous attention to detail needed to accomplish that task will force you to confront flaws that you might otherwise too willingly overlook. So if you don't think a routine of yours could fool magicians, consider whether refining or eliminating a move or a weak moment would take it one step higher up the mystifying scale. Typically, performers who have achieved some degree of success fight the idea of critically viewing a tape of their performance. I hate watching myself, several have said to me. I know, I do too. But you will have to break through that psychological barrier. Finally, most important aspect of videoing yourself is the repeated viewing of the tape. The first 1 or 2 or 5 times you watch it, you will be watching yourself. My, how clever am I? And witty too. Only after you pass that stage will you be able to see dispassionately what really happened. Find a mentor or a trusted friend. Stay hydrated. After we're done with this section, we're going to do some push-ups. Why? Because I gotta. As thorough as I've tried to make this book, it can never fully replace a live human who observes and evaluates your specific performance. Each of us makes your own unique missteps, miscues, and mistakes. We each have blind spots for the soft spots in our acts. My goal and yours is to keep those weaknesses down to the barest minimum. As magicians, we have unique needs. A theatrical director can block the action on stage for maximum effect. But in magic, there is always a flaw in the action, the trick itself, the workings of which must remain undetected. So while a theatrical director might say to an actor, turn to your left at that moment, if your hand is stealing a load just then, that turn to the left might be less than wise. That's where a friend in the know helps. He's the one, and with luck, the only one who will tell you when you've flashed the coin or awkwardly palmed the card, flaws that may not be apparent even on video. This friend can serve you in one other subtle but powerful way. He can sit in your audience and overhear what people say. He can mingle unobtrusively afterward as well. The snippets he picks up or solicits are the most real and most honest reviews possible. Are you ready to hear what people really say about you? Oh. Well, there's a little bit more to that than I thought. Page 23. We're going to do some push-ups. Trusty wall. Okay. Is this a good idea? I don't know. Here we go. As we come down and we come up, all we're trying to do is get up out of our chair and we're trying to create some movement. These are modified push-ups only for the purpose of getting the blood flowing after sitting down for so long. Now today I'm not counting. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to do these push-ups until my arms get tired. And then I'm going to count to 10 after I get tired. And what that's called, it's a modification on training to failure, because your body wants to give up, or the other way around. Your brain wants to give up long before your body does. Or psychologically speaking, you think you're done before you're actually done, but you can go further. And that's where the magic happens. So I can feel the buildup in my right arm, which tells me that when I had my head turn, I was probably leaning a little bit more to that side. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit of buildup in my left and in my shoulders, which is good, as that lactic acid wants to build up. Now I'm starting to get breathy, which tells me that my heart rate is increasing. We don't want to feel pain. Okay, we're going to start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shake it out. Give yourself a round of applause if you join me for some push-ups. And as we move along here, we're going to try to get them down on the ground too. Those are just a little bit harder for me to do right now and still maintain decorum. Here we go. Back into it. 21, 23. Raise your level. From age 8, get some water. From age 8 to 18, my son Daryl actively participated in the highly competitive world of juniors tennis. By age 12, he had developed all the basic strokes, and by the time he was in his late teens and over 6 feet tall, any of his peers, could have taken the court with any of the world-class touring pros. Daryl would not have won any games against the professional, but he could have won points. And if you had sat in the stands and watched them play just a few minutes, you could not have easily discerned that the pro was levels above the teenagers. Tennis, along with many other sports, ranks players. Daryl, for example, achieved a ranking in the top 20 in the Eastern States Division. A clear, specific numerical rank. Consider, for a moment, the idea of ranking magicians with that type of specificity. Absurd. Not at all. Figure skating combines athletics and entertainment, and the judges must subjectively assign a numerical value to each performance. In theory, a panel of magic experts could do the same for our shows. As you may know, the judges at FISM and other magic competitions do in fact apply an objective set of criteria to rate the performers. The magicians or mentalists were all given a regional or world ranking. Where would you rank against your peers? If you were ranked 307th in the world, what could you and your coach, your director, do to get you into the top 100, the top 50, the top 10? In tennis, the strokes of the leading juniors look the same as those of the top pros. Minor differences set the two groups apart. To move up in the rankings means increased dedication and working with a coach who controls, inspires, and chips away at the smallest defect in each type of stroke. Defects only the most practiced and experienced eyes can see. There's no reason we can't have the same dedication to detail in magic. Most good magicians are like Hershey's chocolate bars, perfectly acceptable to those who have never experienced better, but less than that they could or should be. Without benchmarks, any competent performer can be a Hershey bar. He or she can please a fair share of the public, but I say that's not good enough. Every time you perform, you represent the art as a whole. Raising your level helps all magicians and mentalists. Here's another reason to strive to be better. Suppose you perform for an audience of 100 people. At the finale, 60 respond enthusiastically. I can assure you, it will appear to all, including you, that your efforts were a great success. Now suppose you make a change or two as a result of suggestions I give you, and the number of raving fans jumps modestly from 60 to 70. Suppose also that among the 10 new converts to your fan club is the decision maker for a different, more prestigious organization. As all pros know, every show is important because you never know what new leads might come your way. In this example, that small incremental increase in your popularity might pay off exponentially. No performer wins the hearts of 100% of the audience 100% of the time. But why not try? For you, raise your level may imply becoming better than you perform for your magic club, or it may mean boosting your annual show business income from the low six figures to the rarefied $1 million club. Never settle for good enough. Sweat the details, raise your level. My aha! Exclamation point, experience. An entertainment epiphany smacked me in the face at an unlikely event. My son's bar mitzvah party. I had booked award-winning magician mentalist Tom Conover to entertain the guest. As I stood off to the side preparing to introduce Tim, I realized this audience was unlike any other I had stood before. I knew everyone. I knew them well, and they knew me. Many had known me most of my life. They knew I was a magician and a mentalist, and they also knew for sure that I had no special powers. Up until that very moment, audiences for me were singular, an audience, a single mass of strangers to be molded. This time, for the first time, singular became plural. Everywhere I looked, I saw an individual, each with his or her own history with me, and each with a specific expectation of entertainment. Now, in a few moments, Tim would be coming out to do 45 minutes of mentalism for this assemblage of my uncles and aunts, my cousins, my friends, and my neighbors. How could poor Tim convince them he could do miraculous things? That's when it hit me. The three words that crystallized my thinking about entertainment. They don't care. They don't care about you, the entertainer. They don't care about your sleights or your years of practice. They don't care about your magic award. They don't care about Dr. J.B. Rhine and his ESP experiments at Duke University. They don't care about whether it's okay to mix magic and mentalism. They don't care whether you use rare Thayer props or cheap rubber chickens. They don't care if you invented your tricks or they are older than dirt. They don't care whether you sing, manipulate coins, tell jokes, produce doves, read minds, or play Sudoku music. My aunts and uncles, cousins, office colleagues, and neighbors didn't care what Tim Conover was about to do, and that made them exactly the same as any other audience. They cared about themselves. They wanted to have fun. They wanted a special experience. They wanted to be moved, emotionally touched in a new way. The medium that day, mentalism, was not the message. The medium was irrelevant. Tim Conover's personality was the message, not his tricks. The fact that his effects did in fact fry their minds happened only because of the messenger. Put another way, I know I could have, with a couple of days' preparation, performed most of the same routines Tim did. But lacking Tim's years of experience with those routines and lacking his confidence born of hundreds of previous successful performances, the performance would have faltered. My 45 minutes would have felt like hours. His time on stage flew by. He was the magic, not his props, not his effects. Now, years later, I still have compliments about his show. Until I introduced him, the audience neither knew nor cared about Tim Conover and his awards, let alone his mental miracles. He pulled them into his world, and from the first moment along they went, willingly. Too many magical performers make the big mistake. We think that people do actually care about the stuff I listed above. They don't, and they won't, until they can relax because they know we're taking them on a first-class journey to our world, the world of entertainment. Say it loud! I entertain and I'm proud! Exclamation point. You are a special person, you, the entertainer. Look at the people on the street, in the next room, at the office. Those kind souls never experience the adulation and admiration that flows over you when you successfully complete a routine. Having everyone around a table focus their attention on you, or hearing your name announced, and walking out to applause, sets you apart from the multitudes who provide valuable social services and products, but not entertainment. Non entertainers can neither understand nor appreciate the thrill of the successful executed moment before an audience, one which you envisioned, nurtured, hatched, and watched, and which now brings you some delicious combination of smiles, gasps, laughter, ha ha ha, and applause. We can luxuriate in those reactions, but beyond the scenes, we must work diligently behind the scenes to work diligently to earn them so that we can keep complacency at bay. Look to the stars. Every performing style can be successful, I believe, as long as certain fundamental criteria are met. You will see those criteria in the chapters on reactions and the six pillars of entertainment success. Lance Burton and Matt King are close friends, and both achieved high success on the Las Vegas Strip. Yet their styles could hardly be more different. Darren Brown, David Blaine, even Uri Geller, all present forms of what we in the business call mentalism. Again, their presentational styles vary immensely. There must be common elements that allow each of these performers to achieve entertainment while still maintaining his individual style. We will be examining those elements later on. In these pages, you'll see a particular focus on three performers whose work transcends the stereotypical magician and mentalist. David Copperfield, Criskin, and David Blaine. Each has achieved that rarest level of success. His name is widely recognized by the public. Younger folks no longer know Criskin, but he was a fixture on American TV talk shows. During the 1970s, 80s, and into the 1990s, he had best-selling books regularly sold. Sorry. He had best-selling books regularly sold out large venues, and his name, the Amazing Criskin, became synonymous with mind reading, and he's still working today. Aside from their fame and financial success, they share one additional trait: intermittent derision from segments of the magic and mentalism communities. Now, here's the interesting phenomenon. I have a small circle of friends in those communities who have risen to the top of their field. Not one of those successful performers, and in this case, I measure success by a continual flow of repeat bookings over Knox, Copperfield, Criskin, and Blaine. Invariably, it's those whose careers have been stuck in neutral who scream the loudest. Why is he on television? Before I go on, let me assure you, I do not nod approvingly and robotically at everything done by these three stars. Far from it. To name just a few issues I have with them, I look askance at the opening 15 or 20 minutes of Criskin's live show, which is mostly just name-dropping, nor am I a fan of his quirky body movements, and especially his bizarre, outsized handshakes. Copperfield, especially in his late TV specials, throws in suggestive jokes that fit neither the moment nor the persona he's built up over the years. Happily, that's no longer the case. And Blaine, well, not many of us have seen him do a live show without the miracle of editing, so I have no clue as to how successful he may be in front of a live paying audience. Okay, we found out, sort of. Blaine toured a live show in 2018 and received rave reviews. However, it was not a traditional magic show. Nonetheless, from time to time, we're going to examine what these three, among others, do right. They also suit my purposes here because they provide me with a common focal point. If you bought this book, you're likely to have seen them perform, either live or at least on video. Criskin, Copperfield, and Blaine Hugely successful performers of vastly differing styles, certain common denominators allowed them to leapfrog their competition, and I've attempted to unearth those denominators for examination. But be assured, my goal in this book is to make you the best you, not an imitation of me or any particular performer whom I happen to admire. We're getting there. We're getting there. Get some other spicy drink. Mm, good. Okay. Too much of a good thing. From Singapore to Sri Lanka, from New Jersey to New South Wales, planet Earth groans under or from mountains of palming coins, silks, thumb tips, hippity hop rabbits, and more decks of cards. Marked, stripped, roughed, and smooth. Then you can shake a breakaway wand at. Yet sadly, most magic sucks. Always has, always will. It's pure demographics. And they have a little chart here, the triangle here. So it says at the bottom, hobbyist magic club members. That's me. Part-time professionals, advanced amateurs. Full-time professionals at the top. Now, what's interesting is that this is a similar demographic to YouTube. Something that we're learning over on the workshops with Roberto Blake. If you're getting into YouTube or if you need some help, go check out his weekly workshops that he's launching. We're on episode 2. And basically what he's talking about is this. 90% of YouTube isn't even monetized. They don't even have 10,000 subscribers. Okay? So you don't really have, like, there's only saturation of bad videos. Hopefully mine isn't one of them. Hopefully we're building towards something better. And that's really what we're trying to do, is increase and just do better over time. But that's the point that is made here with so many things. You just have to do just a little bit better than everybody else, and you're good. Now, of course, you have those 10% people. Now, the math isn't going to add up here, but you got 10% of the people who are 10,000 to 100,000 ish, who are mildly successful. And then you've got the rares that get over a million. Those are going to be 1%ers. Those are going to be your big name people that almost everybody can name. So keep in mind that that's all you have to do is just, if you're racing, if you're competing, you're not just competing with other, you're just doing a little bit better. That's it. Just do a little bit better than everybody else. The title Full-Time Professional covers a wide swath of experience and levels of success. Some pros earn barely enough to cover the rent, while a few top-tier professionals file CEO-level tax returns. Those in the middle tier of the pyramid also vary widely in their abilities to entertain. Some indeed possess superior technical skills, pose charm, and can entertain extraordinarily well. The lucky men and women at the top of the pyramid always have the distinct advantage of being in front of the audience more often than the part-timers and the hobbyists. Nothing replaces experience. No matter how well you practice a trick for yourself, it will be different when performed for strangers. And the 10th time will usually see a marked improvement over the first time. It's been said that the amateur performs different tricks for the same people, and pro performs the same tricks for different people. And each time you perform the same trick, you grow from the experience. All the hand-wringing about the sorry state of magic is a silly excuse and futility. The above pyramid also applies to writers, musicians, painters, actors, mimes, and jugglers, and it always will. So to those who lament the fact that so much of magic stinks, I say, get over it! Exclamation point. Some people collect stamps fanatically for a lifetime. Others do it and stop after a year. So what? There's nothing special about magic as a pastime. If the majority of practitioners use magic as a pleasant diversion and nothing more, that's their business. They will always be the majority, and that fact must be accepted. To the worriers, I say, worry about yourself. Each person must find his or her own level of passion and commitment. Agreed. I'll point out to that. Let me start that again. I'll point out to that a large number of successful performers remain unknown within the larger magic world, as was my own case prior to the debut of this book. They are out in the world doing shows, but not lecturing, writing, inventing, or doing shows at conventions. Conversely, some of the names we all know and love may or not be making a good living from the public. Have respect for, but don't be overly awed by, those who ply their craft primarily for their peers. And by the way, the fact that you are reading this book speaks directly to your sense of dedication to the art and your desire to boost your skill level. Have it. Competitors. Before we get into that, I just want to let you know, just as we've been doing with the other 2 episodes, for 3 hours after the premiere, you'll have an opportunity to donate super thanks or super chats to help out for a sponsored book gift away. Yes, I will match 50% of whatever is donated for the purposes of going towards books, magic books, primarily this one, because that's the one that we're doing the read along for. But we will buy a copy of Maximum Entertainment and we will give it away once we have enough donations. So please be a part of this movement and let me know down below what it is that I can do to assure you that I've got skin in the game. I will make the first steps. You let me know what I need to do so that we can come together as a community and help some people get their hands on some fantastic resources. Competitors. What volatile college basketball coach Bobby Knight, now retired, lacked in social skills, he offset with his transcendent knowledge of his sport. In the book A Season on the Brink by John Feinstein, Knight tells his players that when they are out on the basketball court, you play against your own potential. Got that? Not your opponents or the refs or even the blunders or wizardry of your teammates. You play against your own potential. We've talked about this on the channel. The only person you're racing is yourself. Yesterday. Do better than you did yesterday and always strive to do better tomorrow and you will continue to grow. Yeah. Every day in every part of the world, tens of thousands of meetings, conferences, parties, trade shows, and other gatherings take place. Your potential to find an audience is not a function of your competitors and their programs. Your main opponent in your life as an entertainer is you. Your potential. Master your own domain, and eventually your competitors, real or perceived, will fade from your consciousness. If you must worry about something, worry about the mediocre among us. An inferior performer hurts you more than someone who felches a line or piece of business from your act. Bad acts, like raw garlic, lingered long after the experience. A weak magician or mentalist poisons the job market for other magicians and mentalists, and the toxic effect can last for years. Conversely, strong acts boost demand. Criskin surely helped me and other mentalists get work in the 1970s and 80s, when he was one of the most frequently booked guests on the major TV talk shows. Las Vegas didn't turn into a magic mecca until Siegfried and Roy demolished the long-held stereotype image of magic acts. You have a limited amount of energy and time. Don't waste a drop of either on things beyond your control. Be the best you can be, and you'll eventually find that your only real competition is yourself. The dangers of success. Many times during my years as a full-time performer, other performers made a special trip to catch my show. What greater compliment could there be? They came because they felt they might learn something, and surely watching others perform for lay audiences always is a wise idea, as long as you watch critically. I willingly met with fellow performers after the show and sat, Buddha-like, sharing my thoughts about what they had witnessed on stage. My comments may or may not have been cogent or useful, but I now realize they lack objectivity. Out on the road, the performer spins a cocoon around himself. The more success he achieves, the more shows he does, the more isolated from critical thinking he becomes. He, he does his show, and when he walks off stage, the only comments he hears are laudatory. Laud- Laudatory? You were amazing! We loved your show! I haven't had this much fun in years. Unless you really screw up, set the birthday kid on fire, cut the boss's toe, or tie, sorry, cut the boss's tie, for real, go 30 minutes over your allotted time, no normal person ever says an untoward word. After a few years of this, you lose the fear of failure you had early on in your career, and the urge towards introspection dissipates. That's dangerous. While you may be as good as they say you are, your attitude should always remain, I'm not as good as I can be. Trust me, I know lots of top pros. They can all be better. So the mantra, I'm not as good as I can be, certainly applies to you. Okay, so it looks like we've got one last section here. Personal highlight, entertainment highlights. I think this is at the end of most of the chapters. It just goes into some things. So we'll finish this up. But before we get into that, don't forget to check the link below. We have an Amazon affiliate link. If you need to pick up any magic supplies or books, you can go ahead and pick them up down there, or any of your other Amazon needs. It is an affiliate link, which means if you click on it within 24 hours of making a purchase at Amazon, they will provide me a small commission. So I appreciate that. Thanks for helping out the channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our next read along. Personal entertainment highlights. Scattered through these chapters, I've placed a few of the moments that pop to the top of my consciousness when thinking about entertainment in our field. Not necessarily a list of the best. These are performers or performances that affected or touched me more profoundly or more memorably than others. A personal entertainment highlight. Al Flosso, The Miser's Dream. The diminutive man known as the Coney Island Farquhar played a major role in my development as a magician. During my teen years, I spent many happy Saturday afternoons in his ramshackled excuse for a magic shop, surrounded by dust, decay, props, and some of the greatest magicians in the world. Although I knew none of them at the time, sometimes Al was the kindest man in the world, giving his deep discounts and taking me and other young magicians out for a fancy New York dinner. But say the wrong word, tannins for one, especially in front of potential paying customers, he would launch into a 10-minute full-throated tirade. I saw him perform his signature piece, The Miser's Dream, in person only once. And even though it was many decades ago when I was in my mid-teens, it remains indubitably etched inside my skull. He had volunteered to do a banquet benefit show for Fame, Future American Magical Entertainers, the teen magic group to which I belonged. My mother, who had no great affection for my hobby, graciously volunteered to drive me into Manhattan and stay with me for the luncheon. The memory I have is more than his poking around the hapless young boy from the audience, producing coins plus various other items that should not be on a young boy, virtually nonstop. No, the bigger memory is of my mother laughing so hard she could barely breathe, laughing and wiping away tears. I had never seen her in that state, not before, not after. A magician was making her laugh like that? Exclamation point! That day marked the beginning of her acceptance of my chosen hobby, or perhaps, more accurately, the lessening of her displeasure. Thanks, Al, for that day and for the ensuing years I spent in your dirty, dingy, and glorious magic shop. Personal entertainment highlights update. In the years since 2003, I've seen a ton of magic and mentalism. In general, the news is good. There are now, perhaps more than any other time in history, outstanding performers in every genre. Here are a few names that, as with the original entertainment highlights, stand out in my memory. In random order, Derek Delgadio's in and of itself an impactful piece of theater interspersed with stunning magic. It became a long-running hit off-Broadway. As the New York Times wrote, but here's the real wizardry: the show works beautifully, tenderly, astonishingly, and it was directed by Frank Oz. Another example of the power of a true director. A curious aside, what's with the letter D? So many of the superstars of modern magic seem to have a special affinity for that letter as an initial. David Copperfield, David Blaine, Doug Henning, Dynamo, Darren Brown, and Derek Delgadio. And Doug Kahn. Why not? Yeah. Colin Cloud in The Illusionist. David Gerard's live mentalism sets. Jerry McCumbridge, Vegas' style mentalism personified. Hannibal, simple, small prop magic that brought me to tears. Zabrecki, originality personified. Eric Diddleman on America's Got Talent and his lecture for the PEA about the behind-the-scenes drama was a separate highlight. Mark Spillman on Britain's Got Talent. Tom Stone as both performer and lecturer at Magi Fest. Rune Clan as both performer and lecturer at Magi Fest. Eric Mead's lecture on Tim Conover's work with the Cups and Balls. Juan Tamarez, finally saw him live in 2015. Now I understand. In all of our research that we've really been deep diving into, Juan Tamarez is coming up a lot. So we might be doing a Magician of the Month video for him soon. Steve Bargatze, hilarious in unexpected ways, and his son, Nate Bargatze, is a terrific stand-up comic. Mike Piscato, or Pisciata, behind the bar at the Magic Castle, some of the purest magical moments imaginable. Ozzy Wind, another name that's just up there, and he performs in New York City, only 5 hours away. A top-notch stage performer who repeatedly astonished me in casual, one-on-one settings. David Williamson with kids on stage unequaled. John Archer, if you haven't seen him live, you haven't seen him. Laura Manor, if you haven't seen him working for a lay audience, you haven't seen him. David Kay, brilliant for the kids, hilarious for the adults. Ben Seidman, his full evening show masterfully combines conjuring skill, comedic originality, and finely honed showmanship. Andrew Goldenhirsch at Monday Night Magic, the best surprise in a magic show I've ever experienced. Shin Lim, he's reinvented close-up magic. I wrote that before he appeared on and won America's Got Talent. Ding Yang at Magic Live 2018. Her magic was so good, so unexpected, that she received a standing ovation the next day when she came out to talk to us. Justin Flem, his residency in Nashville, a masterful 2 hours of creative, high-energy magic. Michael Carbonaro on the Carbonaro effect and on stage. Stephen Cohen. Steve Cohen, his long-running high-end hotel gig. Ray Anderson at Esther's Follies in Austin, brilliant magical mayhem. The Magic Castle, everything at the castle. Plus a special deep bow of respect and recognition to Adam Torrent, Anthony Blake, Spain, Paulo Robbins, Bill Cook, Bill Hers, Billy Kidd, Brad Ross, Carissa Hendricks, Colleen Raven, Chad Long, Chipper Lowell, Danny Orleans, Doug McKenzie, Eric Jones, Frederick Da Silva, Harrison Greenbaum, Josine Dixon, Jason Bishop, Jeff Hobson, Jessica Jane Peterson, John Lovick, John M. Armstrong, Carl Heen, Kevin King, Kostya Kimlek, Laura London, Mark Tolan, Matt Franco, Michael Kent, Michael Weber, regrettably not related, Nick DeFate, Ryan Oakes, Scott Deming, Seth Kramer, Steve Brundage, Woody Aragon. Just taking a quick look. I don't see Joshua J. He's a big name that I've been seeing, but maybe he's younger. I don't know. Everyone an exceptional performer, each dedicated to their craft, and most importantly, good people. The day this book is printed, I will smack my head because I left equally wonderful people off the list. Well, there you go. Including you, no doubt. Haha! Yes, me and you. Thanks for watching. Appreciate that. So apologies to all. Finally, a special nod to Congressman Mark Pocan. He has a lifetime commitment to magic and an even stronger commitment to making life better for the people of Wisconsin and America. He's become a good friend, one who shares my passion for politics and magic. And there you have it, Chapter 1 of this delicious, delectable masterpiece of a book. Thank you, everybody. We're going to wrap it up. Hacha. We are done. So don't forget, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And we'll see you tomorrow for Chapter 2. Don't forget to subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And of course, over here is a video just for you. Yep, just for you.